Well, welcome back. It's
Hi
telling
there. Good morning.
good morning and afternoon over here, but it's really, really lovely to see your beautiful face.
True, true. It's morning in BC, it's afternoon in Ontario.
Exactly, exactly. But I wanted to welcome you to our not so up close but personal interview series where we get to talk to authors who are self-published and who are putting their book out to the world. I'm really, really grateful to meet with you today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, the internet is this incredible thing. Gail is in BC, Kamloops, BC, and I am in Toronto, Ontario. So the internet is this amazing thing where we get to meet like essentially face to face, but I can't touch her. But this is a great opportunity for us to talk about her book. Can we see that properly? Lost at
Yeah, lost at Carnival.
hmm So, as you guys know, I always start off by asking some pretty deep questions because this series is really about the real feelings that you as an author have about writing a book, publishing a book, and putting your book out to the world. But the first thing that I noticed about your book that is like really interesting is that, let me just pull it up again. I got to make sure I get the date right. You wrote the book in 1988. So those of us, there's lots of us who were born lots before that, but there are people who were born after that. And so my kids always say to me, you were born in the 1900s? I'm like, oh.
That's a long time ago.
Exactly. And then published in 2015. So can you give us like quickly, so everyone, her book is Lost at Carnival. It's a children's book. And I want to know, what's the background story to, it was written in 1988, published in 2015. Tell us.
Okay, very briefly. So in 1988, I was a teacher in Trinidad and Tobago, and I lived there with my family, my husband, and three daughters. So at the time I wrote this book, it was really written for my three daughters. I wrote it, but the intention was not to publish it back then. It was just a project. I was writing a book for my daughters. And then the whole family migrated to Canada. And so the book sat in a closet. I literally, only in cleaning out my closet in 2015, I found the project. And there was my book. And I said, oh my gosh, I forgot all about my book.
Was it
So I
illustrated
pulled it
too?
out. I mean, but this is many, many years later. I moved cities, I moved jobs, and then the book, you know how in moving.
It is. I love those stories. It's like, do you remember?
Never too late. Never too late.
That's it. It's like the traveling. I think we missed a piece of what you said because we were frozen on this end. But it's like what is that story? The traveling pants. This his story of the traveling sisterhood pants or something like that. It's like
Yeah.
it followed you how many times do you think you moved in that time period?
Oh my gosh, we moved from Trinidad to Winnipeg, Winnipeg to Prince George, Prince George to Kamloops. So
No.
three big moves.
And three kids.
And
Amazing.
three daughters, yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I know that kids go into closets and stuff and they rummage around.
Yeah.
So you
But
filmed the
it
book.
saw the light of day eventually in
Yeah.
2015, and I work at a university, and the reason I didn't even send it off to a publisher, it's because I work at Thompson Rivers University Open Learning, and we do a lot of publishing ourselves. So
Yeah.
when I pulled it out and I chatted with some colleagues, we've got graphic designers, we've got people in production, they said, oh, we can help you put this book together.
Let's just do it.
Let's make it happen. So
Yeah.
they were encouraging and kind of took me through some of the steps I was not familiar with.
Yes, because those steps can be ugly.
Very important steps, yeah.
Oh, that is so cool. Okay, so now that we've gotten that like out of my head, because I wanted to know that story. Thank you for sharing us. Can you tell me? I want to know what are those when you first? So way back in 1988, which dates all of us. What,
And me.
What were the like? So you wrote it for your daughters, and I'm a children's book writer myself, so I know that feeling. I write for my kids. But what is the real feeling after you've like when you're starting to put a book together? And when you've put the book together, and then now 20 some odd years later, is it 20? When the book is all together, what are the real feelings that come up for you?
So at the time of writing, because it was almost like me doing a bedtime story to my kids, there was actually no pressure, no apprehension, it wasn't as if I had to write an essay to hand in to my graded for a mark. So to be honest, I think that if you could put yourself in that mind frame of, this is me reading a bedtime story. The words, I actually just grabbed an exercise book at the time. You know, in Trinidad, they call it a copybook. And I was writing the story. And I almost imagined as I was writing that I would be reading this story, say, at bedtime. So as I'm writing, I'm actually communicating, but with familiar folks, with my kids. And that was fun. Now, later on, I have to admit, when I made the decision, now I'm going to publish. And I'm going to publish for a Trinidad and Tobago audience, for a Caribbean audience. And then I wanted it to be, even for a Canadian audience, I have to admit, I read it again through different eyes. And then a little more apprehension sort of set in, like, you know, the questions, you're like, is it going to work? Is it going to work for the different ages? You're starting to think more adult-like and more in that marketing mode, because you've made a new decision that you're going to offer it to the world, and then you want it to be of a good quality. So now I'm reading, now I want, you know, the grammar to be correct. Should I capitalize this word? You know, you're thinking now.
Those weird little details.
Grown up think,
But
in the end, and I think it's because of my job too. I sit all day. People make online courses and they send it to me. So most of my day, I'm sitting in the role of editor and reading and looking for voice from different people. So now it's kind of a little scary.
Different,
I'm going to give it up and I'm going to let somebody else read and say, you know. What tone is she using? Is it too heavy? Is it too teacher-like? And to keep thinking all the time, it's for kids. It's for kids. So whatever reasons you have for writing the book, keep in mind it's going to be read by a kid or maybe to a kid.
And they're not so critical.
So the short answer is it was enjoyable in the beginning and it got a little more scary. I made the step, you know, that decision to publish it.
That is, it's like, it is the reason why we started this series, is because as authors, I mean, like, you know, things have shifted so much in terms of how we see authors, like traditional authors and self-published authors. At the end of the day, everyone is an author, right? If you've written a book. And so it's really like, what are the giant real feelings? Like, I can remember the first book we printed, and there was like, I don't know, we printed like 500 or something like that. And there was like a couple of grammatical errors in it. And I was like, I can't breathe. I didn't sleep for days.
My English teacher will see it.
days. And my husband's like, you got to calm down. I'm like, oh my God. I still have moments that comes up in my head where I'm just like, I can't manage this. But I mean, it's the real feelings, right, that come up with being an author and like committing to what you're putting out to the world. Okay, so there's a couple questions that I want to know, like in terms, so your kids are big now, they're grown-ups now.
My baby is 29 now. The third daughter.
I know. And so have you taken any time to read Lost at Carnival to your grandbabies?
Yes, I have. I have one granddaughter who lives here in Kamloops with me, and she's 8. So she can read some of it by herself, and then I've read it to her. And she invited me to her school. I've read it to her class. I've done public readings at the library. I've been to a few schools because as soon as my friends bought the book for their own children, a lot of them were like, hey, can you come and read it to the whole class? And it's actually gone really well. That's how I knew the test for me was when I was there with the children and we were
Yeah.
reading, and they had questions, and at the end I put discussion questions at the back of the book, and the hands were going up and they all wanted to tell me, I was lost once in the mall. And then I realized, although the book is Lost at Carnival, the message about being lost is actually one that children all over can relate to. And the parents were saying, it is actually a great theme. So at the same time we were learning about Trinidad, that message about being lost and what to do, the children were able to relate to it. So in a sense, there's a lesson right there that I kind of learned that there are some universal themes. And although you choose a setting for your book, like everything else, a movie has a setting.
It has a place, yeah.
Children all over the world, there are universal themes, and there are particular themes that I'm interested in. So that I think I should stick with that initial idea that I had as a teacher, speaking to children and trying to, at the same time I'm entertaining, in the back of my mind I was educating too.
Yeah. You can't help it.
So it worked, but it really was great to actually do the readings and see the children's hands going up and then being engaged, and then they wanted to dance. Like, what's the carnival like? So it was wonderful. It was a visual experience, oral experience, but they even wanted to get up and move and dance.
Yeah.
And for a teacher, I was thinking, this is wonderful. This is exactly
so wonderful.
how I wanted it to be, a kind of multimodal experience for them. Sound and voice, and it can even have movement. So
I'm glad that you bring this up, because one of the things, and I've got only 2 more questions for you, okay? I'm not going to steal all.
That's okay.
But one of the things with Discovering Diversity Publishing that, when we originally started, it was really, based around essentially, how there's lots of different ways of existing in the world. But we've sort of shifted into how there's lots of different ways of existing in our own minds, or the things that we think about. And so why this book, Lost at Carnival, is particularly interesting to me is because it really has this strong universal idea of being lost, and the feeling that happens to a person and the thoughts that happen to a young person when they're lost. So could you shed some light on your ideas around being lost, and where your thoughts are in terms of have you seen a change in people once they've read this? Are there, I know you're an educator, so just sort of talk around those ideas.
Right. So when my daughters were heading out to the Carnival parade, like all of the parades that kids go to, Santa Claus parade.
Of course.
There was that element. As a parent, I wanted the kids to be safe. And the teachers had given certain advice and messages to the kids. And so as a parent, I wanted to, I was trying to make sure that the kids knew what to do if they got lost. So I'm just imagining that whether it's a little boy, girl in a mall, or they got lost, sometimes right in a store you could go to the store. And I was here looking at the sugar, and then with my kid, where are they? So around that, but you know what I thought just this morning? I was thinking, it isn't even just about being lost. Inherent in the story was that the kid disobeyed the parents. So to do with safety, I was like, wait, there were 2 points in the book where the mom said to the child, take a water bottle with you. The sun is going to be hot and you're going to get thirsty. There is this kid saying, no, this is my great day. I'm not taking a water bottle. Left the water bottle on the bus. And then that's why he was thirsty, and that's why he had to go off to buy something. So, and then later on, the teacher had said, don't leave the band without telling someone where you're going, asking permission. And he slipped away. So I thought, it's about being lost, but it is about getting yourself into trouble when you're disobedient and you don't listen to the grown-ups and the adults around you.
Yes.
So I thought that's a good discussion point for the kids, after they read the book.
And away from
maybe out of it, the truth is, out of it, I usually open it up and sort of ask the kids, what do they get from the story?
And I think that part in particular, because my kids have read it, and that paradigm shift, that thought shift of like, oh, it's not just my parents that think I'm supposed to be obedient. It's not just my teachers. Here is another mother, grandmother, teacher on the other side of the country who's saying, no, this is consistent, being obedient. And outside of those terms, following instructions from an elder is important, so that eventually you can follow your own instruction, right?
Yeah.
That you can be obedient.
I think for kids, they kind of need to delve into the why. So at the end, it was important to say, why do you think he left is one part of it? What do you think was the value of that advice he was getting? Do you think, it was a smart thing for the teacher to tell him who to ask for help from, etc.? And so the kids of their own started to, I saw in those end of reading sessions, the kids started to say, oh, I see, that's true. That's why they
done that before. That's what my son said.
And they got, and in talking to them, I was even saying, there are many times when I think I will do something quickly, like I'll park in this spot, and I'll be quick. And so I sort of tried to let them realize even grown-ups have these same rules, and then there are times when you have to think, oh, should I break the rule just for a couple minutes? It's going to be okay. And then how sometimes it turns out not okay. So it actually, for a very short book, I have to say, there are quite a bit of discussion areas in the book. And so it can work on many levels.
This book is brilliant, Gail. And
thank you.
It's brilliant. It's lovely. Everybody, you can find this. Hold on. Let me ask one more question before we let Gail go. And I love to end with this one because it's important to my soul.
Okay.
I want to know if you could give any piece of wisdom, not advice because nobody takes it, but if you could share any of your wisdom when it comes to writing, authoring, publishing a book, a story, whatever you want to share, what would you offer someone?
Okay, well, the fact that I wrote it in 1988 and didn't publish till 2015, I think I'm the poster child for don't give up. Don't really, because, when I pulled it out, I could have said, oh no, this is way too old. I decided it's going to be a little embarrassing to tell people how long I've been working on this project, but no, I'm going to do it. So one message could be, don't give up. Don't give up. Even if life gets in the way and you had your dreams, keep going, make it happen. Perhaps reach out to knowledgeable friends. If you're not sure, you don't know all the parts and pieces to the puzzle. Perhaps you're really good at the writing, but you're terrible at the marketing. Like, this is why I'm so happy you're helping me, because I realized with the self-publishing, the actual getting the book into this format is what I was thinking self-publishing is. And now I have it. And then I'm like, wait, publishers do a lot more for writers. Publishers help you get the book out to market. And I'm terrible with that part. So reach out for help. Like, I've decided I'm going to come to your Discovering Diversity and ask you for your help. So I'm the help of some folks who may know, and even how I was able to ask my graphic artist, help me with the layout. People at work explain to me how you get the ISBN. So I think there is a point, because you want quality. I know a lot of people self-publish, and I've seen some things, and then
they don't invest in themselves.
Yes, you've done it, but it's not comparable to what you would see in a store. So think quality. ask for help, and just don't give up. Keep going.
Yeah. I love it. Oh, we're
That's
frozen
my
here, Gail.
bucket list. And
It's
I
off your
wanted to
bucket
sort of
list.
leave a legacy to my grandchildren, my children. I
Wonderful.
wanted them to know, hey, your grandma is now a published author.
That's
It can be
right.
done. And especially when you have daughters, I think to put into their brain, listen, you're capable. You can do whatever you want to do. That was part of the big message for me. That, my intention was not, I want to become an author. I want to give the message to the kids out there and the girls out there, especially.
Yes.
You do it. You can do anything you want to do.
Anything.
So hopefully they get that message. And then,
Yes. Well, Gail, what I can say is that I know that you are doing your part to shift the way that people see their own lives and their own situations, and you are adding brilliant diversity to the way people are learning how to live in this world. So thank you so much for joining us. Everybody, when you are ready, come find Gail's book at discoveringdiversitypublishing.com. You will see it in the links below. Please find it. Lost at Carnival. Brilliant book. You have heard it here first with the lovely, talented, and beautiful Miss Gail Morong. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you. So we'll see you next time.
Okay. Thank you.
Have yourself a great night or morning. Bye.